All eyes are on France as the country votes to choose its next president. 12 candidates are running for the seat, but analysts say it could be a neck-and-neck fight between the top two contenders, Emmanuel Macron and Marine Le Pen. Now, apart from a host of domestic issues, the war in Ukraine has majorly overshadowed the presidential race. The voter turnout in the first round of the French presidential election on Sunday by 3 p.m. GMT stands at 65%, which is down on the 2017 turnout. The voter turnout by midday was also the lowest since 2002 presidential elections. Incumbent President Emmanuel Macron voted during the first round of elections. He also congratulated the voters who exercised their right and voted during the first round of the presidential elections.
Je pense qu'il faut absolument que nos compatriotes aillent voter. Ici, les chiffres sont 10 points au-dessus de la moyenne nationale. Donc je m'en félicite et je félicite toutes celles et ceux qui sont venus faire leur devoir. Et je pense que c'est très important parce que c'est comme ça qu'on choisit, quelle que soit l'orientation, les années à venir.
Macron, who is seeking a second five-year term, is facing a tough fight from the far-right candidate Marine Le Pen, who also voted during the first round of polls in her northern French stronghold of Henin-Beaumont. Now, Le Pen is posing an unexpected threat to the incumbent French president. She was the closest rival to the incumbent in 2017 as well. Let's see what has changed in the last 5 years. Now, the two leaders with two very different ideologies. One is a centrist, the other is far-right. Macron is seeking to win re-election, and this is Le Pen's last bid to run for the top seat. Let's come to the promises that the two have made. Starting with the economy and employment, Macron and Le Pen have both promised tax cuts, but the incumbent has also said that his government will toughen security laws against growing terrorism. On the other hand, Le Pen has kept her focus on domestic issues, like increasing social benefits for the French people. Macron has also vowed to gradually raise the retirement age from 62 to 65. This is being seen as being unpopular with the voters already facing a cost of living crunch. On the other hand, the far-right candidate plans to exempt companies from tax only if they raise the minimum wage by 10%. Next, we come to immigration, the core issue in this year's election. Le Pen is known for her anti-immigration stance, but now she has promised to halt abuse of the right to asylum. Le Pen plans to bring in a referendum on restricting immigration, whereas Macron has decided to strengthen the country's free borders to eliminate illegal migration. Now, the French president is also in talks to form a new group to get rid of extremism. The body will include clergy, laymen, and women, and he wishes to give Islam a French makeover. On the other hand, Le Pen has taken an eye-raising pledge to ban Islamic hijab in public areas. Now remember, full-face veils are already banned in France. Around 48.7 million people are eligible for the vote, with scores of them hoping that France's next president would reunite the country.
Alors, grande question. Qu'est-ce qu'on attend de cette élection? C'est un peu l'avenir de la France qui se décide, donc on attend par les temps qui courent de la paix, surtout, de la paix, de la prospérité, et puis une politique commune de vivre ensemble. Je pense que c'est le plus important, ce dont la France a besoin aujourd'hui, c'est vraiment le vivre ensemble et de retrouver des valeurs communes qui sont chères à notre cœur, la liberté, la laïcité bien sûr. Et puis l'égalité, je trouve que c'est une valeur qu'on a du mal à trouver dans notre société, mais elle existe sur tous les frontons de mairie. Donc ça serait bien de rétablir un vivre ensemble, une politique qui inclut tout le monde, au lieu de nous mettre les uns contre les autres.
The polls will close by 8 p.m. local time. The first exit polls will be published right after. The second round of voting will begin at the end of this month on the 24th. It will be a close call. Elections in France are bound to have a ripple effect in Europe. So let's wait and see who will lead the European Union's second largest economy. Now, for more on this, we are being joined by senior political journalist Laure Cometti from Paris. Thank you for being with us on this broadcast, Laure. I'll jump right in. There has been talk of Macron's focus in the run-up to the elections being on the crisis in Ukraine and not a lot of focus on domestic issues like the purchasing power of French families in the face of the rising fuel and food prices. How do you think that this will affect Macron's chances?
Hello, Alison, and thanks for the invitation. Well, President Emmanuel Macron has been criticized in France by the 11 other candidates and by some voters for his refusal to debate with the other candidates before the first round, and also his implicit message that he has more important things, important matters to deal with. And it's true, as you said, that the war in Ukraine has overshadowed part of the final race. And Emmanuel Macron only organized one big rally in Paris last weekend, but he also visited several places of France, and he made sure that he had some moments of talks and discussion with some French inhabitants, and those images were broadcast on the media. But maybe that was not enough to show and to convince voters that he is focused on the election and domestic matters, because of course he was very busy with geopolitical matters for the past days. So that could be a problem in a context of fuel prices skyrocketing since the beginning of the year, and well, some polls show that French voters, their number one preoccupation is purchasing power and health and security, so domestic matters, as you can see.
Absolutely. Now, we have seen growing popularity for candidate Le Pen, and it is turning out to be a neck-and-neck race between Macron and Le Pen. How do you analyze the polls?
Well, it's true that in the final days of this campaign, polls showed that she seems to be gaining more and more voting intentions, and the polling gap between Emmanuel Macron and Marine Le Pen has narrowed a lot, because 1 month ago, on the 10th of March, Emmanuel Macron, he was more in the polls. He was credited with about 30% voting intentions, and Marine Le Pen about 18%. So you can see that in only 1 month, on average, the latest polls of this week, they put the two on 26% versus 23% of voting intentions, respectively. So the polling gap has really narrowed, and Marine Le Pen has gained voting intentions, whereas Emmanuel Macron has remained more or less stable. So that's really the dynamic of the past weeks that we've seen.
Absolutely.
WION, now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.